Welcome to the Eastern Bloc. Today we're gonna talk about Nikola Korolev, also known as 55th. He was feared as the leader of Moscow skinheads, a teenager who committed his first murder at just 16. Later, he became both the mastermind and the executioner behind brutal terrorist attacks on markets, shops, and dormitories, which took away many lives. A deranged fanatic who claimed that Jesus and Genghis Khan were Slavs, and who once went viral for coldly describing how he killed a non-Russian. This is the brutal tale of Nikola Korolev. He was born on March 31st, 1989, in Moscow's Yuzhnaya Medvedkovo district, the youngest child in a large family. His father was a respected professor of music, his mother a hereditary Cossack and devout old believer, came from deep-rooted traditions. From this background emerged a worldview as contradictory as it was extreme, a staunch racist who delighted in donning Cossack uniform, yet a follower of Belokrisnitsa branch of old belief. Nationalists who knew him spoke of his ties to the Catacomb Church of Amorosi Sievers, a fringe sect that went so far as to canonize Adolf Hitler's Adolf Berlinski. Neighbors remembered Korolev as a second-generation musician, talented trumpet player who could fill a courtyard with sound. But his gift for music would take a darker turn. In time, he channeled his skill into the forming a Nazi rock band, a group called White Empire. At school, his greatest fascination was Russian history, a subject he absorbed not for academic curiosity, but to fuel the nationalist ideology that was already consuming him. In his early teens, Korolev drifted among punks and metalheads, but soon he craved modern music and nightlife. He wanted action. Nationalist and racist ideas began to take hold. He resented the influx of migrants and foreign students into Russia. By 1995, at just 14, he had fully embraced the life of a Nazi skinhead, and not just in appearance, but in violent action. The streets would record his first kill at the age of 16. That same year, he graduated from music school with good marks, etched his first Nazi tattoos into his skin, and joined a boxing club, honing the skills he would carry into the street violence. By 1998, Korolev's name carried weight in Moscow's far-right underworld. Among Nazi skinheads, he was already a respected and feared figure. In the terraces and backstreets, he commanded a second following, a crew of right-wing football hooligans. Two worlds, the extremist music scene and the violent football culture, converged under his leadership, giving him both numbers and notoriety. That same year, Korolev enrolled in a sports college. It was a calculated move, a way to train regularly, sharpen his physical abilities, and by the time he graduated, he intended to have the official credentials that would allow him to train others, younger generation of skinhead. And of course, there was an undeniable bonus to his image, the status of a coach, a teacher, respected by boys of all ages and backgrounds. All the more so, a teacher of martial art. It was clear that Korolev did not envision either himself or his students standing on the podiums of Olympic showcases. That's why he chose a more practical specialization. After graduating, he taught hand-to-hand combat. Among Korolev's students were names that would later become infamous. Vasily Krivets, sentenced to life in prison for 15 racially motivated murders. A man so crazy he once escaped from police while describing to investigators his killing at the scene of the crime. He was hiding for more than a year, and Arturo No, responsible for 20 murders, yet receiving only 10 years in prison because he was still a minor at the time. I made a documentary about him as well. These were the proteges of Korolev, products of his training, and living proof of the lethal ideology he passed on, and many more bold-headed killers went through him. Around 2,000 teens worked out in his gym over the years. In 2001, Nikolai earned the title of candidate for Master of Sports after victories at the Russian Hand-to-Hand Combat Championship. In 2002, Korolev was arrested and charged with conspiracy to manufacture and sell weapons and grenades to other neo-Nazis. Yet, despite the serious accusations, he served no jail time. Some speculate this was because, at the time, the Russian government was using neo-Nazi groups as tools for their own purposes. Korolev married and had two children, balancing family life and his growing influence in extreme circles. He worked in private security and was involved in publishing a newspaper called White Frontier. In addition to the explosion at the Cherkizovsky market, Korolev's group was accused of bombings at the Liana Center of Georgian Fortune Teller, a Moscow dormitory where foreign students stayed, the Elite Cafe, a terrorist attack in a Muslim prayer room, the Empire of Success Arcade Hall, and the editorial office of the newspaper Russian Herald. Two more bombings were carried out by members of the group in retail stores. Korolev and his associate, Oleg Kosteryov, murdered a citizen of Korea in 2006. During the investigative reenactment of the case, Korolev referred to the victim as an animal and enthusiastically described how he had disposed of him.
Вот здесь, короче, мы его встретили, и оно побежало в эту сторону, во двор. Вот два дома так стояло.
Покажите, пожалуйста, в какую сторону побежало.
Побежало животное вот в эту сторону, вот так два дома стояло, по-моему. Короче, дворы были какие-то. По-моему, вот так они были, дома. И вот оно вот так бежало.
Ваши действия.
Мы его догнали.
Показывайте, пожалуйста, где вы его догнали.
Ну вот примерно вот здесь, да, будем считать.
Как он стоял, куда лицом?
Так.
Because Korean government oversaw investigation themselves, he was arrested quick, unlike other times when he would get away with murders. While the investigation was ongoing, Korolev managed to write a book in Matroskaya Tishina prison, which he titled The Skinhead's Bible. The book is full of ridiculous statements, like Slavs are the kings of the universe, warriors not afraid to die, and so on. Here's the introduction to this book. On August 8, 2007, I, Nikola Korolev, a Russian, a shaved-headed, old believer, a Cossack by birth, write these lines from the Matroskaya Tishina prison in an isolated cell marked Special Control. I am accused of organizing a criminal nationalist group and carrying out a series of approximately 15 terrorist attacks in Moscow and Moscow region. According to the investigation, we bombed the Cherkizovsky market, a Caucasian dormitory with a casino, the black magic salon run by Georgian woman named Eliana, a Wahhabi mosque, Chechen arcades, a Vietnamese dormitory, and several shops belonging to Caucasian drug dealers financing local ethnic criminal gangs. This entire den of vipers was protected by the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs, which is why our actions are considered a crime. Also involved in this case is the murder of an Armenian duelist, an anti-fascist. The 17-year-old name was Vigen Abramyan. Shortly after the murder, more than 100 Armenians held an unauthorized rally, blocking traffic on Novy Arbat and demanding that traces of skinheads be found. After receiving his life sentence, Korolev was initially imprisoned in a Pola O colony. From there, he sent several audio messages to his comrades, in one of them showing not a hint of remorse. Korolev spoke about the explosion at Cherkizovsky market, an attack he orchestrated with his accomplices that killed 14 people and injured more than 60 others. He expressed no sympathy for anyone who died in the terrorist act. Today, Korolev is serving a life sentence in a prison where even basic freedoms like working out are denied to him. His second wife is fighting for the right to have children with him. Despite being confined to a life sentence in Polar Old Colony, Korolev remains unrepentant. He claims that his confessions were extracted under torture, yet his actions and beliefs continue to reflect a steadfast commitment to his extremist ideology. His second wife shares his convictions. She has publicly stated that nothing will change their beliefs, emphasizing their unwavering dedication to their cause. Together, they are currently facing trial for attempting to establish a Russian version of the Aryan Brotherhood within the prison system and for disseminating hate speech online. His father was shocked when he found out who his son was, said his son was religious and was in church every Sunday. Now his son will live the rest of his life like an animal. Thank you for tuning in. Follow and subscribe. Till the next episode.